Dark Evidence presents Russell Marsom, The Witchcraft Murder, 1996 to 2026. March 30th, 1996, Norfolk, England. A 29-year-old hairdresser named Russell Marsom leaves his home in Heacham. He runs his own hairdressing business in the nearby town of Unsolved. He tells his mother he's going to Cambridge for the LGBTQ nightlife, for fun, for escape from routine. His mother asks him to pick up a bread and butter pudding she made for him. He smiles and says yes. He promises to be back. He never comes home. When I read this part, I remember my own mother. How many times do we leave home and she says, "Come back soon," and we say yes. Mum, but Russell's mother has been waiting for 30 years. Even today, she waits for her son. She still remembers that phone call. She still remembers his voice. She still remembers his promise. The next morning, March 31st, 1996, a dog walker is strolling near the A10 in Milton, just outside Cambridge. He sees something in a water-filled ditch. He approaches. His blood runs cold. It's a body, partially clothed, face down in the dirty water. Police arrive. They identify the body. Russell Marsom, 29 years old, from Hunstanton, Norfolk. Drowned, but not an accident. Murder. I've read many cases in my life, but this scene physically hurts me. Imagine a mother saw her son for the last time. He smiled. He promised to come back. And the next day, he was in a dirty ditch. A dog walker found him. A stranger, not family, not friends. A stranger who would never forget that morning. No mother should ever feel this pain. The official report was simple: drowned. But for those who knew Russell, the conclusion raised more questions than it answered. In the quiet outskirts of Milton, a dark, water-filled ditch became the center of a chilling mystery that would haunt the town for decades. The atmosphere at the scene was unsettled, as if the landscape itself was trying to hide the truth of what happened that night. Police conducted interviews, but every lead seemed to vanish into the cold air. Friends and family were left in a state of perpetual distress. As the years passed, the case grew cold. Files were tucked away in archives, and the clock ticked relentlessly toward a forgotten history. Then, a breakthrough. New evidence surfaced, forcing the authorities to reopen the investigation and face the shadows once again. Whispers of the occult began to emerge. Some believed the positioning of the body under the full moon pointed to something far more sinister. Investigators looked for links to local folklore, searching through aged texts for a pattern that might explain the unexplainable. The theories grew darker, suggesting ritualistic elements and symbols that danced in the shadows of the town's imagination. The way Russell was found was unusual, arranged in a manner that suggested intent rather than an accidental fall into the water. Through the noise of the investigation, Russell's mother remained steadfast. She knew her son, and she refused to believe the wild rumors. The occult book that sparked the controversy was, in her eyes, just a book, an ordinary object of curiosity, not a source of evil. She remembered Russell as a young man full of life and curiosity, someone who explored the world with an open heart. Decades later, the ditch remains. The water is still, but the mystery of what truly happened to Russell lingers in the morning mist. Think about this. Police linked a 29-year-old man's death to witchcraft. Why? Because he borrowed a book. Because it was a full moon. Because his body was arranged. Seriously, how many books have we all read? If we read Harry Potter, does that make us wizards? If the moon is full, do we become killers? Russell's mother was right. He was just curious. But police needed a theory, so they made one. And the real killer? Still free today. The full moon theory still haunts investigators, but without evidence, It's just speculation. It's just a story they told themselves because they had no answers. Years pass. 1996 becomes 1997. 1997 becomes 2000. The case grows cold. In 2005, police reinvestigate. In 2006, on the 10th anniversary, they make another appeal. Nothing works. Then, 2007, 11 years after Russell's death, police arrest a 34-year-old man in Islington, London. He's brought to Peterborough for questioning. The family hopes for justice. They've waited 11 years. Finally, someone will pay. Finally, Russell can rest. But the man is released on bail. He's told to return to Thorpewood Police Station in Peterborough on May 17, 2007. No charges filed, no explanation given, no answers for Russell's mother. The man walks free, and the case goes cold again. When I wrote this line, I felt angry. An arrest happens. The family thinks justice is coming. They've waited 11 years. 11 years. And then that man is released on bail. No charges. No explanation. Does anyone even tell Russell's mother why? Or did they forget to? 11 years of waiting. Then an arrest. Then 19 more years of waiting. 30 years total. This isn't justice. This is torture. This is hope being ripped away again and again. An inquest is held. The coroner records an open verdict, meaning they can't determine how Russell died. Not accident, not murder, not suicide, just open, empty. Nothing for Russell's mother. That verdict is worse than anything, because it means no closure, no answers, no end to the questions. March 1996. A night that changed Cambridge forever. For 25 years, the murder of Russell Marsom has remained a painful, unsolved mystery. Russell was a young man with his whole life ahead of him. Today, we revisit the evidence, committed to finding the truth. I am Detective Mick Flavin. We are relaunching this investigation because we believe someone out there knows what happened that night. Our team is meticulously reviewing every archive and every digital record. Time has passed, but our resolve to find justice has never wavered. We are reaching out specifically to the LGBTQ+ community. Your memories of Cambridge in the mid-90s could be the key we need. The night of March 30th, 1996. Were you at the Cotton Club? Do you remember seeing Russell or anyone unusual? Between 9:45 p.m. and 1 a.m., Russell was near the A10 at Milton. We need to identify the vehicles seen in that area. Even the smallest detail, something you thought was insignificant then, could be the breakthrough we are looking for today. We will not stop until we bring closure to Russell's family. It is never too late to do the right thing. If you have any information, please contact us. Help us solve this case. Justice for Russell Marsom starts with you. We appreciate this tragic event happened nearly 25 years ago, but we believe there are people out there who knew Russell and may be able to shed some light on what happened to him. These people may not have felt comfortable speaking to police at the time. But might feel differently now. Our investigation can't bring Russell back, but justice has been a long time coming for Russell and his family. I would urge anyone with information to please come forward and share it with us. It It feels good to know the police are still trying. Even after 25 years, they haven't given up. They say the case has never been closed and never will be until justice is served. That's dedication, that's hope. But think about this. What happened to Russell happened in the 90s. Back then, there was so much prejudice against the LGBTQ community. How many people were afraid to talk to police? How many witnesses stayed silent because they feared being outed? How many friends were too scared to come forward? Today, maybe they're ready, but 25 years late. How many killers have walked free for 25 years? How many lives have they lived? How many families have they built? How many dinners have they eaten while Russell's mother eats alone? Police even offer a special option. Anyone who wants to speak to an LGBTQ liaison officer can request one. They want people to feel safe. They want people to talk. They want justice for Russell. 2026, 30 years. 3 decades since Russell Marsom died in a ditch. His killer walks free. Someone knows the truth. Someone has kept this secret for 30 years. The questions remain. Was it witchcraft? Was it hate? Was it someone he trusted? The full moon theory still haunts investigators. But without evidence, it's just speculation. 30 years. Just saying that makes my heart sink. 30 years ago, I wasn't even born. And today, I'm reading this case. Russell's mother has spent 30 years waiting for her son. 30 years of rain, 30 years of changing seasons, 30 years of people coming and going, 30 years of birthdays without her son, 30 years of Christmases with an empty chair, 30 years of wondering, 30 years of hoping, 30 years of silence. But in her heart, there's only one question. Who? Why? And the most terrifying question of all, did he suffer? Was he scared? Was he alone? Russell's mother is now elderly. She has waited 30 years for justice. She may never see it. Russell Marsom, 29 years old, a hairdresser, a son, a friend, gone for 30 years. His killer still walks among us, living a normal life. Maybe with a family, maybe with secrets. Maybe he watches crime shows and laughs. Maybe he reads articles about Russell and feels nothing. Maybe he's forgotten what he did. But Russell's mother hasn't forgotten. She never will. You know what the most painful part is? That killer is still alive today. He's living a normal life. He wakes up every morning and drinks his tea. He laughs with his family. He watches TV. He goes to sleep at night. He doesn't lose sleep. He doesn't have nightmares. He doesn't feel guilt. And Russell's mother, she's still crying. She's still remembering her son's smile. She's still waiting for that phone call that will never come. This isn't justice. This is a cruel joke. This is the universe laughing at a mother's pain. The A10 ditch is still there. Water still flows through the murky reeds, cutting through the Cambridgeshire countryside under a somber, overcast morning sky. Cars still drive past every day. Thousands of people rush by, unaware of the history that lies just a few feet from the road. Millions of journeys happen here, and none of them know that 30 years ago, a young man was found in this very water. None of them know his name. None of them know his story, or the life that was left behind in the quiet fenland. Russell Marsom was a kind young man with a gentle expression, a face that should have seen 30 more years of life. But the truth lies buried under 30 years of silence. It remains hidden beneath the surface, waiting for someone to finally speak out. Under 30 years of fear, a long shadow has hung over this case, keeping witnesses silent as the seasons changed and years passed. Under 30 years of secrets. If you know something, Cambridgeshire police still want to hear from you. No detail is ever too small. 30 years later, they haven't forgotten. The search for justice continues, as determined now as it was on that day in 1996. Russell Marsom, 1996 to 2026. A community still remembers, and a family still waits for the closure they have been denied for decades. Still waiting for justice. The truth is still out there, and it is never too late to bring peace to this cold case. I know some of you watching this video might be thinking, why should I care? But it matters, because this isn't just Russell's story. This is the story of every person whose killer is still free. This is the story of every mother still waiting for her son. This is the story of every family that sits at dinner with an empty chair. This is the story of every cold case that could be solved if someone, somewhere, just spoke up. If you know something, tell the police. 30 years have passed. It's time for the truth to come out. It's time for Russell's mother to finally rest. And one more thing. If you've watched this video, call your mother. Just say, "Mum, I'm okay," because Russell's mother never got that call. She never will. But you can make sure your mother doesn't have to wait. You can make sure your family never knows this pain. Call her, tell her you love her, because life is fragile. Because one night out can change everything. Because 30 years is too long to wait. Dark evidence, where the evidence tells the story, but the heart remembers.